So how to begin your healing journey? I strongly suggest you you research and you find out your astrology chart, because it all begins with your blueprint, and that's your astrology chart. And with the planets and where they're aligned can tell you many things about your path, who you meet, what's successful for you, what won't be, and who to avoid, what to avoid. I'll give you an example. For my chart, I've got Virgo in the 11th house. And the 11th house is the house of wishes and dreams. So I know whenever I meet a Virgo, they're going to open a door for me, because the 11th house of wishes and dreams is a plan that you agreed to with soul contracts before you came in to the physical. And once you get here, of course, you're distracted by cars and women and all that kind of thing. And you get a little bit off your path because you think, your ego thinks you want something else. But your heart and your true self has already decided, and it's in contract with other souls to open those doors. So for me, like I was saying, I've got Virgo in the 11th house. So whenever I meet a Virgo, I know even though I'm going in this direction to get something that my ego wants, I listen carefully to what the Virgo has to say, and they might suggest to go to a cafe or check out this new restaurant or movie or whatever, and you listen carefully and then you trust the guidance of that, and you go and do what they've suggested you do. And this way the doors open, because as you go to that cafe and you sit there and you have lunch or whatever, you'll run into someone that opens a door for you, something that your heart desires, something that your soul has already agreed to. And it might be just meeting another person that just says, oh look, I've got this opportunity, and the door opens. And other parts of your chart, so the 7th house is to do with your descendant, which is partnerships. And if you've got Taurus, for example, in the 7th house, I know that when I meet a Taurus, there's potential for a relationship there, because that's where the planets align for me in my birth chart. And the powers that be, the people behind the scenes, they've known this for centuries, and they're trying to make astrology hocus pocus, but there's a lot of depth to it. And I do read charts, and I've just taught myself how to do that. And if I get your rising sign and your sun sign and your moon sign, I can actually tell you what you've got and what to look out for. So your rising sign is how you view the world. Your sun sign is how the world views you. That's how you get variation. Otherwise you get people saying, I'm an Aries and she's an Aries and we're not the same. Well, the thing is that you're born at different times. So your rising signs will be different, and your moon signs and all the other planets. So the key planets are like Mars is masculine fire. So wherever your Mars is in your chart, you'll have extra energy and fire to actually create and manifest, and you won't have to really work that hard. And you'll also know who to work with in that chart, depending on what other signs are in that house. So all the houses represent different things. The 12th house is the house of the rising sun. So that's usually where you learn about things that are taboo, things that society doesn't really talk about, prisons and things like that. The first house is how you present yourself to the world. The second house is about wealth and money. The third house is about communication. And then you've got the 5th house, which is like your dharma, which is what you came here to do. So if you get a hold of the time you're born and the location, and you actually do a bit of research about your blueprint, the moment you came into this reality, you can actually analyze and work out, and it takes you half the time and half the mistakes that you may make. Although each mistake you make is a lesson, you can actually save yourself a lot of time, particularly in relationships and what have you. And each sign has its own strengths and weaknesses. Like the Leos are born leaders. So if you're in a company and you've been given responsibility, you're going to weed out the Leos because they work independently and they lead naturally. A Libra, for example, which is the opposite of Leo, they're all about balance. And because they can see both sides of the coin, it's very difficult for them to make decisions. And this is just a basic format. Like, it gets very sophisticated with your rising signs, and you can see how the elements interact as well. So you've got fire and air fuels the fire. So naturally a fire sign is going to go well with the air signs, and so forth with water. So yeah, I can only suggest to you, if you're thinking about making this healing journey, which we all have to do, and the dark night of the soul, get your birth chart and have it read to you, and take notes, key points, where the Venus is and the Mars and your midheaven, the 10th house. These are all key elements of your birth chart that will help guide you to what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, who you should be hanging out with, and what the lessons are. So this is just a short video for people that want to begin and don't know where to start. You've got all sorts of modalities of healing. You've got, the sound baths, and you've got, ayahuasca, plant medicines, and you've got Reiki, you've got massage. It's huge. So to begin, you need to find out who the fuck you are. And you need to find out what it is about you that's unique, so that you can find your purpose and you can work in that. And if you find your purpose, life is a lot more fun, because it's not work anymore. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing, as opposed to working in a company or for a business. That's not you, because you may have the wrong motivation as far as like making lots of money, but once you've made that magical figure, whatever it is for you, you're still unhappy. So you want to find your purpose and find out what that is, so that you can make money doing what it is you enjoy. So yeah, a bit on astrology. I had a natural sort of curiosity for it when I was about 13, when I started seeing patterns in people and friends, parents, when I used to visit, and it confused me because I'd see people behaving the same kind of way, and I figured out it's got something to do with astrology and the different signs. And so once I understand your sign and how you fit into my birth chart, the key goal of all of this is to be able to improve your communication with that person. I'll give you an example. An Aries, first star of the zodiac, a pioneer, and very, very driven. They've got a very volcanic anger, but it's just because they're really driven to get to where they're trying to go. So as a result of that, they speak very forcefully. And I meet Aries and I tell them, look, just be gentle with people, because the Cancer might say, oh, excuse me, sir, could you just move the chair over there, please? And the Aries has got no time for that shit. They're like, can you move the chair? Move the fucking chair. And everyone's like, oh, what's your problem? And it's just how they communicate. So it's nothing personal. And once I know that you're an Aries, I know that when you speak to me in that tone, it ain't no thing. I don't judge. I just know that's who you are and where you're coming from. So this is how astrology can really help you move forward and understand the people around you. And as a result, you'll be understanding yourself so much more. So the whole goal of this is to understand you, your blueprint, why you came here, what doors to walk through, what doors to avoid, and your chart gives you all that information. So if you want to know more, flick me an email and I can look into it for you. Until my next video, have a great day.